The UN Assistance Mission for Iraq, or UNAMI, was established in 2003 in the aftermath of the U.S. military invasion and the fall of Saddam Hussein, which led to years of domestic instability, terrorism, and political violence. But 20 years on, Iraq has told the UN it is time for its political mission to go. Iraq's envoy says the country is stable, terrorism is contained, and Baghdad and Kurdish authorities are trying to work out their differences.
Both parties are working on maintaining the sustainability of a stable relationship between them, especially in terms of the budget and the salaries of the Kurdistan employees and the salaries of the Peshmerga and security forces. We are also working on enhancing political cooperation by focusing on the principles of partnership, complementarity, and balance stipulated by the Constitution.
On May 8th, Baghdad asked the UN to begin winding down in June and to transition its work to Iraqi institutions by the end of next year. In Iraq, not everyone agrees the UN mission should leave.
Most Kurdish parties, Sunni parties, many of the minorities are concerned. They see that UNAMI at least has been able to play the role of good offices. It has been able to facilitate dialogues of various issues between the stakeholders, and they worry not to have that type of impartial institution at hand that they can lean on when they are in such difficulty.
The head of the UN mission, who concludes her 5-year tenure this month, agrees there are still serious challenges to overcome, but said from Baghdad that Iraq is a country on the rise.
Corruption, factionalism, impunity, undue interference, and armed actors operating outside state control. While the government is tackling these scourges, they still represent major hurdles to be overcome. The same goes for feelings of marginalization and exclusion, which are spreading in and among certain components. If left unaddressed, they risk fanning the flames of intra- and inter-community tension.
5 days after UNAMI was created, in August 2003, a suicide bomber detonated a truck full of explosives outside the UN headquarters in Baghdad, killing 22 staffers and injuring more than 100 others. But the United Nations remained in Iraq, though it still has not achieved everything it set out to do.
Many of the provisions of the mandate have not been met. That is not all on UNAMI, of course, but if you look at some of the broader issues that UNAMI has endeavored to deal with or to help with in Iraq, including the disputed territories, for instance, constitutional review, resolving disputes between Baghdad and Erbil, all of those remain unresolved.
UNAMI's current term expires at the end of May, and the Security Council will decide in the coming days how to respond to Iraq's drawdown request. Margaret Besheer, VOA News, the United Nations.